just doesn't make sense personally.
Yeah, I mean, that's another, that's just more reason to do it in stages, you know. Listen, maybe some red flags will come up with Elton if we switch over Florida in the first couple of months. Maybe let's see, you know, it's not he just can't.
Richard, you're on mute.
Hi, Megan.
Hi. If you're joining in a guest, can you just use the chat feature to introduce yourself, please?
Am I a guest? I'm presenting.
Oh, yeah, no, that's okay. Actually, yes, could you write it into the chat? Do you mind? Just so we have it on record. Richard, did we end up finding a copy of last month's minutes?
Susan did send it to me.
Oh, she didn't send it to me.
It's extremely short.
Okay, maybe you could read it, or I don't know. I don't know if the committee got it.
I don't know either. Let me see if I could find it. I'll forward it to you.
Great, thanks.
Goodbye.
Did it get there?
Yeah, I
I
got
did.
it.
Okay.
I got it. Thanks.
Hi, guys. Sorry, it's Alice. I'm gonna log off and then log back in on my computer. I
Okay,
have a better. Okay, so
Sure.
I'll be right back.
okay. Richard, I'm gonna pull up those minutes since it's the first thing that we're gonna do, okay?
Okay, no.
All right, Richard, we got a quorum. We could probably start whenever you want to. Let me just get people in this
Sure.
waiting room.
Just give me a 3, 2, 1, and we'll go.
Yeah, hold on. I got two people in the waiting room and I'm trying to
Okay.
figure out how to let them in when I've got this open.
I don't see anyone in the waiting room, Megan.
They're, I already let them in. Now I'm just trying to share my screen.
Okay.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Hey, everyone, I'm just out in spirit.
All right, we're good to go, Richard.
Okay. Hi, folks. This is the regularly scheduled Economic Development Committee meeting for Community Board number 3. My name is Richard Ropiak. I am a member of the committee, but for the purposes of this meeting, I am acting chair at the request of our new chairman. We have a small agenda. The first item on the agenda will be the approval of the I'm sorry. Let's take quorum.
Yeah. Okay. Megan Joy here. Or yes, Alistair Economakis.
He's
Yes.
Coming back.
Yeah, I see him.
Yes,
Andrea Gordillo, I think, is absent because she's got her holiday party tonight for Clemente. Richard or Herman Hewitt,
Yes.
David Louis,
Yes.
Alexandra Militano, Richard Ropiak,
Here.
Anisha Stephen, no. Rodney Washington? No. Andrew Comey? Nope.
Okay. As I was starting to say, the first item on our agenda is the approval of the previous month's minutes. Megan has put the November minutes up on the screen. If you could please do me a favor and take 30 seconds, 60 seconds to scan it. And we would appreciate a motion for approval if that's your desire.
That's it.
Is there a motion for approval of the November minutes?
You don't need,
move.
you don't
Okay,
need to vote again if there's no objections.
I was about to say, if there is anyone, will anyone be voting in negative? No, okay, so the minutes are approved. The second item we have with us this evening, Vanessa Diaz Lopez, and she is from the Manhattan Borough President's Office, and she will be briefing us on a grant for Chinatown. Welcome, Ms. Diaz Lopez, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to come to CB3. Haven't been here in a long time. So I'll be as concise as possible. And then if there are questions, please let me know. I don't know how you handle questions, so I will follow whatever the chair decides to do. So the Manhattan Borough President's Office recently worked with a group of Chinatown organizations, which ended up calling themselves, one second. I'm going to put up the presentation that we used so that we can.
I think I have to make you a co-host to do that. Give me 1 sec. Okay.
Okay, well, I need to get out of here. 1 second. Now I'm here, share my screen. And then from the beginning. Yeah, so I'm just going to use the screen for a moment and tell you a little bit about the actual grant before we go into what the group proposed. So the group came to call themselves Chinatown Downtown Revitalization the Coalition to Revitalize Chinatown. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows, and I'll tell you who they are. It is not a legal name. It was just a name they chose for purposes of submitting the application, so that there was not one particular nonprofit organization to be named and pretty much taking credit on behalf of everybody else. So the New York State Downtown Revitalization Initiative is a state economic development program. You probably know of it. It's meant to transform downtown neighborhoods throughout the state. And it's meant to bring vibrancy to downtowns that are not, need economic infusion. The goals are to bring aspects to that area that improve the quality of life of individuals who reside there. Also to bring redevelopment into the community, businesses, job creation, and economic and housing diversity. So it's wide. It allows for housing funding to be used towards housing as well, which it's important everywhere, but especially in New York City. The program is in its 5th year, and it will invest $200 million in 20 downtowns statewide. Manhattan specifically will be receiving $20 million. Chinatown, Manhattan will be receiving $20 million. It usually was $10 million, but there was 1 year where this project did not go through because of COVID. And so the state decided to either allow for 2 projects of $10 million or a $20 million project. And in this case, the choice was to submit something for $20 million. In terms of the program itself, the communities can nominate one, like I mentioned, 1 or 2 projects. And then if awarded the funding, the state, the Department of State assigns consultants to the community. A local planning council is put together. It is a state convened local planning council. And the co-chairs are set, which are the Manhattan Borough President's Office, and 2 representatives for the Regional Economic Development Council. And then obviously everybody else wants to put in there clearly representatives from the community, stakeholders in the community with a history of having been working there and who have the capacity to bring together community input, also resources in terms of infrastructure and matching funds for the proposed projects. So clearly people who have the history having done that type of work at Chinatown in particular. In this case, the consultants have been assigned already. There's a contract that was signed, and we have no, we don't oversee that process, the state does. And who was assigned was HR&A advisors. I believe there is some history of them in Chinatown. We are, however, ensuring that there will be language access, that there will be cultural competency as determined by that community. In this case, the coalition would be continuing to have conversations with the state to ensure that there is real ability and understanding of Chinatown, and all that means in language and accessing people, etc. Obviously, the local planning council would also have a role in making sure that their membership and all those clients that they serve are a part of a public process that would start in January. This is a 6-month process. The process would start in January, and it would be led by HR&A alongside the local planning council. Okay. Let's see. So now that I have this, if there are questions, I don't see them, but I will continue, right? Is that okay, Richard, right?
Yes.
I think, right. So let's see. We learned about these funds that they were actually available June 30th, and we had to submit an application by September 13 and present by September 23rd. So it was a very quick process that needed to take place. Chinatown was considered, or this office started to consider Chinatown about 2 years ago. And there was conversations with the Chinatown Bid to try to get a sense of what are some programs or projects that might be viable. I'm sure you know that the bid and a number of people in this group that you see in front of you have been for years trying to figure out different projects. So none of the projects that were submitted, which we'll go over, were new. They were really a compilation of projects that had been considered throughout close to 20 years, I'm assuming, because it's really all the way back from 9/11. So we'll go through that. But why Chinatown? We know that Chinatown was impacted in 9/11, was impacted by the different hurricanes, and more so during the COVID pandemic, it was impacted the most, even with the Asian hate situation that continues to happen. And we thought that it would be important to be able to bring and support Chinatown with this funding. And so we engage in these conversations to make sure that it happened. Manhattan was the only borough that had not received funding. And so at this point, we wanted to make sure that prior to Gail ending her term, we would be able to get the funding to Manhattan, and in this case, Chinatown. So the groups that came together that we were able to put together are listed here. We wanted to make sure that we had people from different kind of different fabrics, you know, in Chinatown. And so we have the American Legion who came to the meetings, the Asian American Federation, Asian Americans for Equality, Meta NYC, you may know them, they are housed in the Borough President's Office, and they help with collecting data that would then go into this application. The bid, the Chinatown Bid, Chinatown Manpower, Chinese American Planning Association, the CCBI, Shumpak, the Office of Councilmember Chin, and Think Chinatown. There were a few others that were involved, but these were the groups that actually ended up putting their name towards the application. And what the ask from this group was really to bring arts and culture to Chinatown. And there is no space in Chinatown for arts and culture. And they want to be able to use arts and culture as a way of bringing back business into the community, especially to be able to bring night businesses to Chinatown, which closed very early. And so they clearly wanted to solidify this Manhattan Chinatown as a place where people come from all over the world, but not just from all over the world, from the tri-state and also New York City. Obviously, they want to bring tourists, but there was an emphasis on being able to bring repairs and improve the quality of life of people who already do live in Chinatown. So combination of business, arts and cultures, and really bringing infrastructure to improve quality of life and connect different aspects, different regions of Chinatown. So we had to pick a location, a corridor. And so for that purpose, what was chosen was Forsyth Plaza, the East Broadway Mall, the triangle that is right across from the mall. And then if you look at this other map here to the right, Kim Lau Square. The group that came together thought that it was necessary to choose a location that was accessible to all the different groups within Chinatown. And they felt that this was the most, I'm trying to be fair to everything that they said, and quite frankly, it would have been better that they spoke about this. So I'm trying to do justice to the group. They felt that this was like historical Chinatown, and that that everyone convenes in these areas, and that would make it a corridor not only accessible by everybody, but business-wise, this was the best option in terms of what can be done with $20 million. So I'm sorry, so it would be East Broadway Mall, the Forsyth Plaza, alongside with the triangle right in front of them, and Kim Lau Square. I should mention that Kim Lau Square received funding already by Councilmember Chin for the purposes of repairing the monument that is there. You know that that area is used for parades and a number of other activities. Also, the East Broadway Mall, the space across East Broadway Mall is often used for other sorts of parades, and it's almost a way of bringing some formality to using those spaces and making them more usable at any time of the year, and bringing infrastructure to those spaces so that it can be used for a multitude of purposes, including bringing performing arts to those spaces. And so there's been a lot of questions about why East Broadway Mall. I think everyone knows there's a lot going on with the East Broadway Mall, and there are some legal issues at this time that still need to be resolved. If that is resolved, the intention would be to attempt to use partial space there to be able to bring a cultural space there, alongside with creating sound attenuated seating enclosure across the street where that the East Broadway triangle is. We are very much aware that this is property that belongs to the city and that we would need a lot of support from those city agencies. We have been in communication with DCAS. They have listened to us. Obviously, there would need to be a lot more communication moving forward if this were to be a viable project. The second anchor is the East Broadway Triangle and Forsyth Plaza, and it's pretty much trying to look at the fact that already there are businesses in those sidewalks, and they're there during the day. And how do we bring infrastructure for them, both during the day and at night, should they want to use that space, but also bring it to Forsyth Plaza so that it could be used for arts and culture activities, and so that it would be a space that can be used in multiple ways. So for Forsyth Plaza, it would include bringing street furniture, lighting, striping to organize the vendors. For the East Broadway Triangle, it would include a facade, cleaning up the area, beautification, signage, repaving if it's needed. We also think it would be good for people to just be able to come out of their apartments and be able to use this space just for purposes of being in that area and being able to leave their homes. And let's see, and then there are some ideas of how to make this attractive to others. And there was an idea of looking at this space as sort of like Times Square, how people just like come and sit at the red steps. Clearly, it doesn't have to be that. That's just like a vision that was put together for the people in the state who may or may not understand what Chinatown looks like, right? Just giving them a sense of what we're trying to bring to the space. And then Kinlow Square, the idea, right now there is $1 million. Those $1 million are allocated by the current Council District 1 Councilmember Chin. And right now what it's intended to happen there is to repave and actually extend the plaza a bit, put new seating, create space for our installation. It's what this group would want to happen as well, and repair the memorial arch and statue. Clearly $1 million is not enough. I want to make sure that everyone knows that these are projects that were thought of that may or may not happen because they might not have viability in terms of having enough funding or being shovel ready within the 2 years that it requires for it to be ready. And so want to make sure people know these were proposed and they still need to be vetted and reviewed. So there is space for adding projects, and we may get some of this or not, none of this at all. So because we knew that, part of what was done is we added a list of projects that may be considered, and some of that included transportation infrastructure, so being able to add street furniture, bike lanes, anything that would also improve pedestrian activity, public art, so creating spaces where there could be rotating art displays. And one of the options that was mentioned was creating an outdoor stage at Sarah D. Roosevelt Park. Excuse me. I went too fast. Technological enhancement. So how do we make, there's an idea of creating an app that would be self-guided, and it would be offered to people who would come, and then they would just be able to learn about Chinatown. My understanding is that part of what happens in Chinatown is that it is disjointed and wayfinding is important, signage and so on. Also being able to translate some of those signage so that people who don't understand the language in which is being written can also know what those businesses are. Then installing Wi-Fi hotspots, that's part of what was considered, and being able to do a series of marketing and branding, including re-envisioning the kiosk, the the West Chinatown Information Kiosk, creating a marketing plan, being able to integrate the gates that close in those businesses, install wayfinding guides, and develop night activities, which would be fairly new in Chinatown. So the other options that were proposed were to create environmental and ecological projects, mainly because the funding allows for it. And it seems, that what was brought up by the group was there are no public bathrooms. So can we put some public bathrooms? How can we do something about the garbage and the recycling, and look at some options on how to do that better there by providing commercial garbage recycling and, collect compost collection opportunities. What does that mean exactly? It needs to be discussed, and improving the different spaces that exist in the malls, the street malls, improving those spaces, which I know has been actually in Community Board 3's district needs for quite a number of years. And then also being able to put some funding towards affordable and senior housing. The idea is that, I believe it's AFI, it has, and maybe Shangpak as well, yes, there it is, yes, they have some projects that are proceeding, and being able to potentially do putting some funding towards that, and or improve the area outside for passive seating and so on, that would benefit not, those seniors that would be there, and just anyone in the community. And those are the ideas that were proposed, and who supported this, who we received letters of support for this project include the Borough President, Margaret Chin, Yulene, Brian Kavanagh, Nidia Velasquez, and the CCBA. We did receive a letter of support also from the Parks Department. The DOT is aware that we were submitting this application. They have not taken a position. Clearly, there is how do I stop sharing here? There is a change in administration. So, being able to secure letters of support would require a larger effort, and all of those individuals are likely going to be a part of the local planning council somehow. So is this good enough? Any questions? Not sure if I spoke too much, too little.
No, you did just fine. And thank you very much for the presentation. I will, for the first question, I will turn to Susan and see if she had, but just as she sticks her hand up. But a basic question is, you said that this starts in January. How long is it anticipated to go?
So from January to either June or July, it's a 6-month process to engage the community, vet projects. It's a plan, a viable plan to the state. So okay. 6 months.
Susan? Oh, Susan, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you. Think I know by now. First question, which is more of a small detail, the information kiosk. We've had really in-depth, very broad visioning sessions on what to do with that. What is happening to all that? That's my first question. And then I just say, I really don't understand the structure going forward. I understand this group came together to put forth projects, but going forward, I don't understand the group that's coming in, H&H, and I kind of don't understand how it's going to work going forward. And I don't know what to say about one of the projects that is different groups on this coalition are like tearing each other's throats out over like one of the projects that's on the list. So I don't know how that's going to be resolved.
Okay. First, the state has requested that we, the group, submits anything that has been studied already, which includes what you mentioned, that the kiosk, that it is submitted to them and to be considered in that planning council. So there is no, we are there, we and they, I'm trying to keep myself separated from this, you know, they know that there are multiple studies and multiple opportunities where people did say what they wanted to do over a number of these different projects. And they want to bring that to the table for conversation. My understanding is that they would be using that as part of the process to make determinations, and that it will be brought up to the public. I hear you that there's been plenty of opportunity to discuss those. Why are we discussing that all over again? So that's my answer, that anything that has been studied or there have been processes would be brought to the table. I don't quite frankly, I don't think this kiosk is gonna go through, Susan. I don't, it's kind of like something that was thrown at the end in case the other ones didn't work out, if that makes sense. So my answer is everything that has been studied, with the community is going to be considered. Those documents are going to be considered and used as input from the community.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The structure part. So Department of State oversees the consultants, right? These consultants come and their role is to guide the local planning council in doing their expertise is to look at what's viable, what's not viable, what kinds of things you need to ask the state, the city, the this, the that, looking at, so that's kind of like what they would do, and they would do the outreach. They would lead the meetings. They would do, set up the agenda, set up the rooms, and that's their role, to facilitate the process. The local planning council, which is still information, would then be the ones who would vote, for example, on these issues. And that's as much as I know, but I think we should, if the questions are really good questions that I wish I have more answers for, and I've been asking, but it's happening too fast. There's a meeting this Thursday with the state and those consultants, and on Friday I should know more and I would be able to provide more information. Any questions that you would like me to ask, please let me know.
I see Megan
And
saying.
I could report back.
Thanks,
Excuse me?
Richard. What's the role of the community board in this process?
The community board does not have a role, but I would say you would want to ask for space in the local planning council, to be able to be a part of those meetings, to be able to know firsthand. There's a very big probability, there's a probability they'll do the local planning council and then they might have an advisory council as well. They haven't determined that yet. That's part of what they're trying to figure out. One of the reasons we don't know is because the rest of the state they still haven't told the other people who submitted applications that they got the funding. So they were making those announcements and so on. But I would say there is no reason why someone in the community board could be a part of that local planning council.
Who's involved in the local planning council right now?
So we submitted a list. They asked us for a proposed list, and who's there is everybody who was in the process of submitting these projects, and the offices of those elected officials, which I have no idea whether they're going to want to be there or not, but they're included in there for a slot. And then there still needs to be some very real people added to this list, like local business people, community board, whichever other people will actually bring the real color to the council.
You had mentioned earlier on, you made reference to a role that the borough president and 2 representatives from the Regional Economic Development Council would be involved. Is there any
Yes.
clarification that you could give us for the roles of the BP and the Development Council?
They're gonna be co-chairs. I just don't know what that means yet, right? So the BP can either, the BP themselves or a designee from the BP's office, which I'm trying to understand when they say designating someone, if that means a staffer or if they want to designate someone else from whomever, the community or something like that. I don't have an answer to that question. So they'll be the co-chair, the Board of President's office, or someone they designate. And then I do know who the RDC people are. In this case is Wellington Chen. I don't know how this was decided, but it's Wellington Chen. And the other member would be, forgive me, I don't remember the name of the person from the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce, but who heads that would be, those are the co-chairs.
Okay, and these would be co-chairs of the local planning council.
That is correct.
Okay. Further questions from community board members?
Hi, this is David. Is there information like available online that if the general public wanted to learn more about the local planning council or any of these pieces that they could find it?
David, thank you for the reminder. Part of what this local planning council has to do is to create a transparent process. I don't know if you're seeing me, but I did air quotes, yeah. Transparent process, and there's supposed to be a website and a way for people to be able to communicate with back and forth with the consultants and with the local planning council. I am assuming that what is going to end up happening is that come January, that will be put together. We, in the meantime, in this office, intend to put something in our website so that people know that this is happening and what is intended to be. So that's my answer, David. Right now, there is not something particular to Chinatown, but if you want to review what has been done in the past, you can go to the Regional Economic Development Council website, and all of the other projects for all, the whole state for the prior 4 rounds of funding, it's available there. It shows you the processes that they went through all the way to the final plan that was submitted. And so you can at least be able to see that there, but I would love to know when they're going to start that process of making a website and so on. I don't know. At one point I thought that maybe the community board should be one, but of course I don't work on the community board and I'm not a member of the community board, but I don't know what role, if any, the community board may want to play on that aspect of transparency. So.
Okay. Thank you for the question, David. Herman, do you have any question?
No.
Not at this time.
All I could say is, for me as part of this community, this is like something that just dropped in my lap tonight, and I know a lot of us never heard of the proposal. Never heard of it, never have an opportunity to review what it is, or even this side of LES, and maybe the merchants or people around here did not have the chance to even review and consider the fact that they might even have submitted something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say to that, I agree that it was something that happened in a very short term. I would say we announce it in our website. It's also announced by the state, but it's almost like everything else that happens in government, Herman, so I'm not even gonna try to say anything different. I think you know me from before, so I'm not going to, I understand what you're trying to say. The only thing I can say is there's going to be a public process where people can get involved. And I wish there would have been more time. I agree with you.
Is this, is your presentation tonight simply meant to advise the community, or are you asking anything of the community board?
Nope, just providing information.
Presentation, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll just let you know also, it's likely I'm not going to be here, right? There's a change in administration. This was put on my lap to get it done. I got it done as instructed, and I won't be here to see it move forward. And I wanted to make sure that you had at least this information.
We thank you for that. Other community board members, Ms. Gilliam, do you have a question?
No, I'm just very interested to see how central arts and culture is to this effort, and especially the activation of public space. It's something that we're involved with across the Lower East Side. And not just also say, I think Chinatown is a really amazing small organization. I know they've been involved in programming at those sites. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this moves forward.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I really do hope that it stays fairly true to including some of those aspects. I usually this funding it's very specifically to small businesses and to bring that sort of infusion into spaces. So I hope that it does stay at least close to some of the asks or ideas around arts and culture.
Okay. If there are no further are there any further questions or comments from community board members? Okay, seeing none or hearing none, I thank you very much, Ms. Diaz-Lopez, and I wish you the best of luck in the future.
Thank you.
And thank you for the presentation tonight.
Sure. Be
Okay.
well. Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Thank you. Okay, the third item on our agenda is the report is a possible report from the Arts and Cultural Affairs Subcommittee. Is anyone available to make such a report? Okay, hearing none, we move on to the last item on the agenda, which is a vote to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Thank you very much for your participation, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is a one-shot thing for me, and so I wish everybody a happy holiday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy holidays.
It's
to
like
everybody.
it's like old times, Richard.
Yes, it is, Megan.
You
Richard,
need
can I
roll
jump
call.
in really quick? I think you all need a final roll call.
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
my
roll call, yeah.
apologies.
Sorry, I can't really jump in. I apologize.
We're out of practice. Okay, Megan Joy, yes. Alistair Economakis,
He left.
no. Andrea Gordillo is absent. Herman Hewitt,
Yes.
David Louis,
Yes, and happy holidays, everyone.
thanks. Alexandra Militano, nope. Richard Ropiak,
Yes.
present. Nisha Stephen, absent. Rodney Washington, who didn't pop on, right? Andrew Comey.
Okay.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you all and have a great night.
All right, thanks, guys.
See you soon.